Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to our read-along, a chapter-by-chapter read-along of Frank Herbert's masterpiece, Dune, which started out as me introducing the book to you for the BookTube event, Dune in June. But now we're well into July, and we are still in the first part of this book as we crawl our way through it. I've been having a blast doing this. I love this book. I can read it and talk about it endlessly. A lot of you have said that you enjoy this, so we'll just forge ahead until we're done with the novel, which is the story of Duke Leto Atreides and his family in this far future Imperium, where the Galactic Emperor has ordered him to leave his homeworld and move to the planet Arrakis, the planet Dune, and take over for House Harkonnen, who will be leaving and who are Leto's sworn enemies. Now, that doesn't make any sense at all. Arrakis is the source of the spice melange. It's the only source anywhere in the universe of the spice melange which cannot be duplicated artificially and which is absolutely essential, not only to space travel, but to a whole bunch of other functions of society. Therefore, it's unbelievably valuable. The Harkonnens have been making a huge amount of money harvesting spice from the sands of Dune. They wouldn't leave voluntarily. And as long as they're giving huge kickbacks to the Emperor, he wouldn't want them to leave voluntarily. Especially since the Emperor is not all that comfortable with House Atreides. Duke Leto is extremely popular with the ruling houses of the Imperium. More popular than the Emperor. So, at some point, that we never learn, we never hear any of the details of it, but at some point, somebody hatches a plot. Could it be Baron Harkonnen's twisted mentat, Peter? I don't know. Somewhere along the line, somebody either the Emperor hatches a plot or somebody proposes it to him and he agrees. If it wasn't his idea, well, that would have been a very dangerous thing to propose. But somebody does it, and the Emperor agrees that the Emperor will help House Harkonnen to bring down House Atreides. They'll move them in. The Harkonnens will appear to move out, but they will be waiting to strike. And in addition to the Harkonnens' own armed forces, there will also be a couple of legions of the Emperor's Sardaukar, his imperially trained super killers. His feared enforcement arm, the thing that makes other houses afraid to cross him, is the Sardaukar, because they can carve up your own local fighting forces easily. The Duke knows this. He's actually hoping to forge the wild people of the planet Dune, the desert dwellers, the Fremen, into a version of his own version of the Sardaukar, of superior fighters. Of course, he doesn't have time to do that. He notices right away that the Fremen are formidable. He, as readers of this book know, if you're reading this for the second time, looking back on it, you know that he had no idea how effective the Fremen were specifically against the Sardaukar. We're about to learn that. Duke Leto was thinking that with sufficient training by his war masters, they might be up to snuff. He has no idea how powerful they are. Because Arrakis, the planet Dune, is far worse as a training ground than Seleucia Secundus, the training ground of the Sardaukar. But in addition to that enhanced fighting force that will be done surreptitiously, of course, those Sardaukar will be wearing Harkonnen uniforms, because the Emperor doesn't want the other great houses to know that he could unleash his super warriors on any house he chooses. He doesn't want them to know that. They might band against him. So that will be done surreptitiously. But in addition to that, there's also a traitor planted in House Atreides. Someone had been turned by the Harkonnens and is going to work against the family to bring them down. And the Atreides don't know who that traitor is, but we do. Herbert has told us that right from the beginning of the book. It's not a surprise at all. It's Dr. Yueh, the family doctor, the Atreides family doctor, who is implicitly trusted because he has undergone the Imperial Suk training for doctors, for any major or minor house, for the Emperor himself. Of course, there needs to be a kind of training that is inviolable, a kind of training that makes you incorruptible, because otherwise, who would trust you? Otherwise, the first person who would be suborned by any of your enemies would be your doctor, who would put poison in your food or poison in your next injection or whatnot. The doctor is going to be examining you when you're unconscious, when you're naked. Of course, he has to be above suspicion. And it turns out that the Imperial training is not foolproof. which is something that Duke Leto's mentat, Thufir Hawat, should have known. His first question shouldn't have been, does this doctor check out? Although he doesn't even bother to do that. He doesn't know that Dr. Yueh's wife has been abducted by the Harkonnen and is probably being tortured by them or killed by them, and is easily, if she's still alive, a lever of blackmail against him, of coercion against him. Thufir Hawat doesn't even know that. He has no idea about that. But in addition to that, his first question shouldn't have been, is Dr. Yueh trustworthy? His first question should have been, is Suk training trustworthy? And he appears never to have asked that question. There's all sorts of mental training that we can do now, 10,000 years before this story takes place. There's all sorts of mental training you can do now that is inviolable. You cannot override it in a human being, in a human subject. Much less by something as simple as, well, your wife might be alive. Is he conditioned or not? If he's persuaded, well, then no one would trust these doctors, and anyone could be persuaded of something else. If he's conditioned, then it wouldn't matter. But nevertheless, we've known through all these chapters that Dr. Yueh is going to betray the family. We just don't know when. I think that it is yet another narrative masterstroke on Frank Herbert's part to tell us who the traitor is. A less confident author would not have told us that. Had us guessing and second guessing. Instead, we're watching all the characters guess and second guess, and that's much more nerve-wracking. I would never have thought of that, but that is absolutely true. And also there's the tension of wondering when this is going to happen. We know the who, we don't know the when. And in this chapter, the chapter that we're reading today, we get the when. Duke Leto is wandering through the foyer of his house when he sees a slumped body on the floor. It is the Shadout Mapes, it is the housekeeper, who has been knifed and is dying. She indulges in, or Frank Herbert rather, indulges in classic Hollywood dying person speak. Apparently, when you are fatally knifed, the first thing to go is not your blood pressure. It's your ability to use proper nouns. Apparently, that's the first thing to go. Because when the Duke is bending over the Shadout Mapes and she is dying, and she says, he, they, it, instead of saying, look out behind you, or Dr. Yueh. Instead of doing that, she croaks out cryptic warnings, and when Leto turns around, when he spins around, when he senses he's not alone, he's too late. He's been darted, he's been drugged. And Dr. Yueh is right there at the door to the main shield room for the house, the electronic shields, the force fields that protect the house have been disabled. Dr. Yueh has disabled them. There's apparently not a heavy guard on that room, and apparently Dr. Yueh knows a lot more than he should. How does he know how to disable them? But he's disabled them. One of Duke Leto's last really coherent thoughts is, we're wide open, and that's exactly right. The house is wide open. The Harkonnens are going to strike now, but they needed the traitor to lower the shields, and also to drug the Duke, because Baron Harkonnen does not want the Duke dead. He not immediately. He wants him destroyed, and he wants to know who's destroying him. Leto slumps to the ground. He is drugged. He is losing consciousness. But before he loses consciousness, the only thing that really happens in this chapter, aside from the fact that the treachery is revealed, and we now know that the Harkonnens are going to strike, but the focus is very narrow on this chapter. The only thing that happens is that Dr. Yueh, he bends over the Duke, and he has a plan. He apologizes, and he has a plan. And a shameful confession, which is that even though he is a trained doctor, he wants to kill a man. He wants to kill Baron Harkonnen. And he knows he'll never get the chance. He'll never get close enough. He's wrong about that, and I don't know why Frank Herbert has him say that, but nevertheless, he doesn't think that he will get close enough, but he knows that the Duke will. He knows that the Baron will gloat over the Duke before he kills him. And he has a plan for that. He has crafted a fake tooth. And there's a microfilament on the inside that looks like a nerve. To an electronic scanner, it will look like the nerve inside the tooth. But it is actually poison. Deadly poison. And the tooth is fake. If the Duke bites down on it strongly, he will shatter the cap on it and breathe out the poison. Of course, the poison will kill him, but it will also kill anyone near him. Dr. Yueh anesthetizes the Duke and pulls one of his own teeth and implants the fake tooth, and tells the Duke, whose consciousness is flickering in and out, tells him, you must remember the tooth. Remember the tooth. When he's close to you, remember the tooth. It's not just my revenge, it's your revenge too. And in exchange for that, I will do you a favor. I will make it possible for your woman, the Lady Jessica, and your son and heir, Paul, to survive. I have laid plans carefully. I will make it possible for them to survive. If you do this thing for me, if you kill this man for me, you won't really be doing it. It's me that will be doing it, but still. And that's it. That's this chapter. It's a gut punch because Frank Herbert doesn't give us, again, a less confident author would give us a grand betrayal scene, would give us troops falling out of the sky, blasting turret tops and whatnot. That doesn't happen. Instead, the betrayal is incredibly intimate. It's one-on-one. It's one person, the traitor, talking to the man he betrays. But it's the end. It's not like you're wondering, well, oh my, will Gurney Halleck or Duncan Idaho be able to fix this? No, this is catastrophic. And we will move on to next chapter. It just gets worse. So we'll move on next time now that I've resumed this. And I'll see you then. This is going to be grim, but it's going to be fun. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, BookTube.